The Northern Caucus of the House of Representatives has called for a thorough probe of the killings in Plateau State on Christmas Eve by assailants that attacked communities, killing over 150 persons. The caucus condemned the killings, saying that only a thorough fact-finding mission with a commitment to punishing all those that played direct or indirect roles in the massacre would lead to a lasting peace in Plateau. It added that Plateau has now become notorious for attacks and reprisals, especially among farming communities and the pastoralists. The group called on governments, good-spirited organizations and individuals to come to the aid of those injured and displaced in the attack. Staying with the situation there, the Defense Headquarters has attributed the delayed response from troops during the attacks in Bokkos and Barikin Ladi local government areas of Plateau State to the terrain and other factors. Speaking on the attack, the Director, Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, admitted that the troops received over 30 distress calls while the attacks were on, but were handicapped by the difficult terrain and other factors. He added that the manner in which the assailants planned and executed the attacks across the locations made it difficult for the troops to get to the scene on time. Edward, however, noted that the military was rejigging its strategy to ensure speedy intervention in the future. To further discuss this, we're joined by Director General, International Institute of Professional Security, Dr. Tony Ofoyetan. Thank you very much, Doctor, for giving us your time.
Thank you very much. Merry Christmas in arrears, and of course, Happy New Year in advance.
Indeed, same to you. Let's look at the situation. It's been a couple of days. Just a few days, actually, since the situation happened. And now we have this update from the security agencies. Borno is, I beg your pardon, Plateau is not a new place. It's not a place where we don't see this kind of violence from time to time. How perturbed are you by the army, the military's response, saying that they got distress calls, but the terrain affected their response time?
Well, thank you very much once again for having me. My first reaction and response was it would have been better that we don't even have a response than having this type of response. And the reason is because let's start from the fact that when you understand the meaning of crime prediction and crime forecast, you will know very well that from the signature of an average terrorist, they want to attack strategic places and locations during festive period, and when, of course, they know that their attack will be given the maximum patronages, and of course, would have the highest of all news reportage and all the like. Now, having understood that, you should be able to know that within festive period, there most likely will be attack, especially in restive and volatile areas, Kaduna, Borno, Plateau State, Benue State, at least these four outstanding states, and that's without prejudice to places like Yobe and the like. Now, having said so, for the military to now come out to say that they got more than 30 distress calls, but could not do anything because of the topography of that area, simply means that they have not done their homework properly before now. And it also means that they are not proactive. Now, we are responding to their own response because their response actually calls for some level of, concern, because we expect that the military, looking at the level of their capability at international levels, and also looking at their pedigree as far as African Security Network is concerned, not talking of domestic challenges, and we now have this lazy attitude towards attending to security issues, even of having lost close to 150 people or thereabout, all because of the excuse that we got distress call, but we could not do anything because of the topography. The topography has been there. It is this same topography that the terrorists have assessed, and they have annexed it to their own advantage and to the disadvantage of the nation as a whole. Now, are they telling us that the terrorists are better in assessing, on friendly topography? This is the area where the military comes to bear in terms of assessing, topographies like this. There are those that are trained in this type of situation. And apart from that, it is high time we now begin to look at a situation where even those that are in that community would not be actively involved in what I call the rural security network intervention. The government should look at a special program where you have a special intervention.
Before we talk about further intervention, I'd like to look at other developments of the incident. The caucus of Northern House of Representative members have come up to say that they want a thorough investigation, considering the fact that we've had this kind of situation before, and we've had calls, condemnation, but we don't seem to have a follow-up to say this was done, that was done. Are you expecting a different outcome this time? If you're thinking that we should have a thorough investigation, should there be some for the army as well, maybe as a way to checkmate their inability to, respond to distress call in any part of the country?
Well, for me, as a person, if you are calling for a thorough probe or investigation, it's as good as singing to the tune of broken records in this country. How many call for investigation for me in Nigeria is more or less like saying, please, let's close the case. That's just the implication of saying, let's call for investigation or thorough investigation. I'm sure you have avalanche of investigation that have been conducted in this country. How many have you seen the report in public space? Not to talk of executing, what do you call the suggestions or the findings of such investigation panel at the end of the day. It's just going to be an exercise in futility. So, but I think that if we have a system where the government is able to, give accolades and reward to those that have done well, and also punishment to those that have done the other way around, then maybe some things will now become right. As it is now, heads don't roll. That is why you see the military will come to say that we got 30 distress calls, but we could not do anything. Why couldn't you do anything? Now, those are the issues that you should be able to tell the public, because the Plateau attack is not just, we're talking of attacks that have been endemic. It's becoming a generational attack. Now, that means that over the years, over the decades, are you telling me that we've not been able to understand the mastery of that topography to the extent that we are able to bring a blueprint? Or are you saying that there are compromises in the military to the extent that those distress calls, when they come, they fall into the hand of compromise? Or are you telling me that sleeper cells?
I mean, so many questions to be answered. It's quite unfortunate. Doctor, that's all the time we have for this conversation. We do hope that some sort of interrogation will occur and some justice will be served for the people that lost their lives and for Plateau State as a whole. Thank you very much for speaking with us.
Very well.